Hey everybody, it's Mike, and just here to talk about how the musician's life is dealing with a lot of equipment that is designed to be disposable and replaceable. And for example, here is a speaker cabinet. You can see I've already had to replace the woofer. This is a classic Backline piece of shit, and I had to change the speaker out on this one. Ultimately, when you wheel it around, this thing doesn't really even move around in the studio that much, but over the course of a couple of years, it has somehow the casters have deteriorated. So I've tried to go through tutorials on YouTube trying to find out what is how to solve this tutorial or caster thing. So I got this screwdriver here, and if you look at this screw right here, it's designed so that you can't do anything with it to fix it because it's a piece of shit. And so you try to fix it, it doesn't work. I've unscrewed this, I've taken it apart, and it's a piece of shit. If you see how this woofer's been replaced, because Gallien Krueger, this is an entry-level Backline thing situation, but at the end of the day, it's a piece of shit. And when people say, these classic sayings like you get what you pay for, this is exactly what you pay for here. This right here, this whole scenario is a piece of shit. So I've tried different things, and if you're gonna do anything, you always want to put your gloves on, because we're musicians. We got to protect our finger bangers, and so you put the gloves on. And so I tried to screw this down. I removed this before, tried to hold it, screw it in. It's still just, you see how loose this is? You're supposed to wheel these cabinets around on Coliseum floors. And, it just, they're pieces of shit. So you do that, you try to screw them in. You take your, household sledgehammer, you give it a little tap to see if that'll do anything to it. No, it's still just, it's really loose because it obviously is a piece of shit. Now, if we go over to here, this is the other part of this Backline. This Gallien Krueger stuff is, it's a piece of shit. And you can see where when the speakers went out and they had less than 30 hours of actual playing time on them, you can see where the bottom right, the bottom left, and the top left have been replaced one at a time. So one blew, I fixed it. Another one, week later, another one blew, I fixed it. A week later, another one blew. So I have not fixed the top right one now. So when I actually got the manufacturer spec replacements from Gallien Krueger, they had already changed their RMS and all that stuff because they realized what they're doing is selling a piece of shit. Now here is the head that runs these amps, and we'll get to this one in a minute. This is an Ampeg. I love Ampeg stuff, but this input problem that I had to deal with was also a piece of shit. So this head had about maybe 50 hours, maybe less than 50 hours on it, 40 hours, and all the knobs are all staticky. And I'm not going to blow your eardrums out or screw up your monitors with your speakers by turning it on and hitting a note and then turning it and hearing the shit sound, because you already know by it, that it's Gallien Krueger is a piece of shit. Over here, I have replaced the input on this Ampeg 810 refrigerator cabinet. But again, if you look down here, you can see where the old casters were. And those snapped off, and the bolts were laying inside the cabinet. I had to pull the speakers out, and further letting you know that it's a piece of shit. So, just in a nutshell, if you think about how many relationships and one-night stands and how much fun people have had listening to live music, and the suffering, and the musicians don't get paid to play that much. Well, they get paid to play, but they don't get paid that much to play. and the relationships and the marriages and the kids that have come out of live music, and we're all sitting here suffering basically with all these pieces of equipment that ultimately are pieces of shit because they're disposable. So I would say do not buy, if you're an up and coming musician and you're trying to save $1 and you're looking at Gallien Krueger equipment, just watch my video over again and really decide, do you really want to go that route? Because everything's disposable. The wood on these things are stripped. These things that didn't even move out of the studio. This one blew. Here's this Gallien Krueger head, for example. One last note. I've had to replace the input on this Gallien Krueger right here 3 times. I had to take it apart, resolder in an input, you know, and now I just, you know, make sure that we put it up through this little, you know, convenient handle that they have put on the side. It's like a little suitcase handle that they got from Samsonite. And so you can put it through here. This is the right way to do it, by the way. If you're gonna buy a piece of shit, this is what you do. Is you put it through here so that there's no tension on it. And you just go like that. And hopefully you'll get an extra couple miles out of it, but ultimately it's a piece of shit. Thanks for seeing my tutorial here. And make sure you wear gloves when you're dealing with pieces of shit. And we'll see you on the flip.